Welcome back to The Explainer. We're all about breaking down big ideas into stuff you can actually use. And today, man, we are tackling a big one, a classic guide to handling pressure at work. We're diving into Richard Carlson's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff at Work.
All right, so let's get right into it. The book kicks off by talking about something I think we all know a little too well, that feeling of the daily workplace grind. That constant low-level pressure that just seems to build and build day in and day out. So, I've got a question for you. Does your job ever feel like it's just one long, endless series of hassles, demands, and little frustrations? Yeah? Well, if you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone.
And that's what Carlson points out right away. These little daily frustrations, they're basically universal. I mean, think about it. Unrealistic deadlines, that boss who's always on your case, endless meetings, office politics, that soul-crushing commute. It seems like nobody gets a free pass from the hassles that come with having a job.
But here's a thought. What if the real problem isn't the job itself? What if it's how we react to it? Now that is the big idea we're going to dig into.
And this really gets to the heart of the book. Carlson makes this fascinating point. He says that when it comes to the really big crises, we humans are surprisingly tough. We can handle a lot. But we let that constant, drip, drip, drip of all the small, annoying stuff just completely suck the life and energy out of us. Just think about it for a second. The big stuff, right? Like getting fired or a huge new competitor showing up on the scene. We somehow find the courage to deal with it. But it's the small stuff, that annoying memo, that critic in the office, another mind-numbing meeting, that really gets under our skin. We tend to just pile it all up until our entire workday feels like one giant crisis. So here's the absolute key takeaway. Carlson says the goal isn't to magically make all the small stuff disappear. Because let's be real, that's impossible. No, the real trick is to change how we see it. It's all about gaining some perspective, some patience, and even a sense of humor about it all.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, that sounds great, but how do I actually do that? Well, it all starts on the inside. The first step is all about mastering your own mindset.
Just imagine this for a moment. You can have two people go through the exact same workday. I mean, the same awful traffic, the same boring meetings, the same difficult people, and yet they can describe that day in completely different ways. One sees a nightmare, the other sees a challenge. It all comes down to perspective. So first up, you've got what Carlson calls the rat race view. This is the person who comes home and says, "Oh God, it was awful. The traffic was a nightmare, my meetings were a total waste of time, and everyone I work with is a jerk," right? It's all negative, focusing on being a victim of the day.
But then you have the other person. They had the same day, but they might say something like, I spent most of my day meeting with people. It was a real challenge. The art of my job is trying to bring people together who just can't seem to get along. See the difference? It's the same day, but it's reframed as a meaningful challenge. It's about focusing on purpose and skill. And this isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's a conscious choice about where you put your energy.
Another way we just pile stress onto ourselves is by trying to control every little thing, especially the stuff that's completely out of our control. And the book has this perfect kind of crazy story that illustrates this point.
So let me introduce you to a guy who his coworkers called the Paperclip King.
This lawyer, was totally obsessed with the tiniest details. He demanded that all his documents use copper-colored paper clips, not the standard silver ones the firm used. And if someone used the wrong one, he would absolutely lose it. He had rules for everything, his coffee cup, how people introduced themselves in meetings. And the result of all this, his actual work started to suffer, he was alienating clients, and you guessed it, he got fired. It's just a brilliant, if extreme example of how sweating the small stuff can have huge consequences.
Okay, so we've talked about mastering our own minds, but what about everyone else? Well, we can also change how we deal with our interactions at work, and that includes the more challenging personalities.
Now, this next idea might sound a little radical. What if that difficult boss or that demanding colleague wasn't just a source of stress? What if you could actually see them as an opportunity?
So Carlson's point is, first off, these demanding people, they're usually like that with everybody, so try not to take it personally. But more than that, sometimes these are the exact people who push you out of your comfort zone. They're the ones who force you to get better, to rise to a new level.
In fact, he says some of the people who helped him grow the most as a writer and a speaker were the ones who pushed him the hardest.
So, where does all this lead? What's the end game of all this reframing and perspective shifting? Well, it's about completely transforming your relationship with your entire work week. And it starts with a little challenge he calls the TGIT challenge.
Okay, so the book says most of us fall into one of two camps, or clubs. First, you've got the TGIF club. Thank God it's Friday. These are the people who live for the weekend and are basically just enduring the 5 days in between. Then, on the other end, you have the TGIM club. Thank God it's Monday. The workaholics who kind of dread the weekend. Either way, you're spending a big chunk of your life stressed out.
So, Carlson says, what if we started a third club, the TGIT club? And TGIT stands for Thank God It's Today. The whole idea is to just appreciate each day for what it is, to be grateful you're here, and to look for the opportunities in this day, right now. Because let's face it, Monday's going to be Monday, and Friday's going to be Friday, no matter what.
And that's really the powerful truth at the heart of this, right? No amount of wishing is going to change what day it is. It's up to us to make today as good as it can be. And that simple shift in attitude, that can change everything. Not just at work, but in your whole life.
Because in the end, this isn't about waiting for your circumstances to change. It's not about your boss magically becoming a saint or your commute disappearing. It's about a shift inside you. The moment you choose not to sweat the small stuff, you get back all that energy you were wasting, and you can finally put it toward things that actually matter, like being creative, being productive, and, actually enjoying your life.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question. Because the real magic here isn't just listening to this idea, it's actually doing it. So what about you? What's one piece of small stuff, one annoying, frustrating thing at your job that you can decide to let go of today?